I bet you can tell from the shirt we're not doing serious haute cuisine. Well, that's true. We are going to do a clam bake. But the problem is, how are we going to do a clam bake inside? You know, a real clam bake needs a pickup truck full of wet seaweed. It needs a trench. It needs flat stones. It needs a bunch of wood. Then you got to put the food on it. Then you got to put a tarp on it. Then you got to drink beer for a couple hours, and you come back and it's done. Well, okay, we're going to do it here inside. And we're going to do all of this actually rather quickly. So Julia's going to come in. Where's the shirt?
Snazzy
How come
outfit.
I have to wear? How come I have to wear this?
Looking good, Griswold.
So what are we going to do?
Right. Well, there's actually a couple recipes already out there for an indoor clam bake, which I looked into when I was developing the recipe. One that struck me as interesting, cooked all the ingredients separately, then threw them on the grill. And although that worked pretty well, it was really messy, had multiple pots going, and you had to fire up a grill anyway.
And that's not indoor.
And that's not indoor.
Okay.
The other recipe I found really interesting, cooked everything in a pot with a layering system, and I tweaked the recipe to make it work really well. The key to the recipe is to put the ingredients in the pot in the right order. We're going to start with some kielbasa, cut into half-inch thick pieces, and you're going to layer it in the bottom of a dry pan.
Now, is this like a 16-quart or 12-quart stock
Right,
pot?
yeah. The key when picking a pot for this is that it be narrow. If it's too much wider, much like a big Dutch oven, you're not going to get the tall layer
vertical
effect.
layers?
Right.
Okay.
So spread the sausage evenly over the bottom. You want it flat to the bottom of the pan so that actually when the heat hits it, the sausage will sear. All right. And next we're going to move on to the shellfish. And using both clams and mussels, here's some cherry stones, about 2 pounds. To make it easy for them to be removed from the pot when it's all cooked, we're going to nestle these and the mussels in a large piece of cheesecloth.
So that's like a real clam bake. You do the similar thing.
Yeah,
wrap it up.
Exactly.
Okay.
And here are some mussels. And usually when they come, they're already bearded. But if they're not, this is what the beard looks like. It's a nasty little piece of fibrous bit that you want to remove quickly with a paring knife. And then give everything a quick scrub. I'll pour that in the center. And we're going to take this cheesecloth and very loosely tie it into a bundle. And it's a very loose bundle because you want the steam and the heat really to get in there and steam everything pretty quickly. Put this on top of all the sausage, and then again that covers the whole entire area of the pot. And next we're going to add potatoes, a classic component of a New England clam bake. And these are red bliss potatoes. We're going to cut them into smaller 1-inch pieces because actually clams and mussels cook pretty quickly in about 20 minutes. And we needed the potatoes to be able to be done in that same time frame. And the reason why these are higher up on the level of the pan is that although they really need to be cooked through and should be closer to the heat, these are going to be our marker for when the whole clam bake is done. When these are tender, everything's ready. So
and we took those potatoes because they're waxy and they hold their shape, I assume.
Definitely.
Okay.
Well, you can leave the skin on for extra structure. Now we're going to add corn, and we left the husks on for a couple reasons. It helps the corn steam within their own husks, and also when we top it off with our lobsters, the lobsters have this foam that comes out of them when they cook, and it gets all over the corn, and the foam hits the husk. You can remove
Now, are these lobsters alive or are these lobsters not alive?
These lobsters have already been killed, and you can either kill them yourself, as we did here in the kitchen, or you can ask your fishmonger to do it for you. But if you bring them home dead, make sure you cook them straight away because you don't want them hanging around dead for too long. And then kind of got to push the lid down to make sure it all fits in there.
Get your 10-year-old to come sit on the top of the pot while they cook.
It's like packing for vacation, huh?
That's right.
All right, and so then you're going to put this whole pan over high heat, and as you notice, I didn't put any liquid in there.
I was going to ask you about that.
Right. Some of the recipes I found put a little water in there for insurance. The water was completely unnecessary. The dry heat is going to hit the sausage and sear it, and then as soon as the heat moves up to the clams, they release an amazing amount of liquid that when they hit the hot pan, sends steam all the way up to cook everything evenly. So it's going to take about 20 minutes.
This sounds, well, it is ridiculously easy.
I know, it's my kind of recipe.
This is your favorite recipe.
It's lazy with minimal
Okay,
effort.
so one more time. Can we just do this for everybody to understand this?
So the heat is hitting this fatty sausage, which is becoming nice and brown, and the heat's going to move up into the clams and the mussels. They're going to open up, release an amazing amount of juice that'll hit the hot pan, make steam, and steam the entire rest of the ingredients, including the potatoes, the corn, and the lobster.
This is like a Rube Goldberg thing, right?
I know, I love
one
this
thing,
recipe.
You like this.
I love
You're very
this
enthusiastic.
recipe. I know.
Okay. So this is Julia's Indoor Clam Bake.
You got it.
That sounds like a movie that came out in the 70s. Anyway, we'll be back in about 20 minutes. We'll take the top off. And now the other thing you said was very interesting about testing it is the potatoes are the tester.
Right. When the potatoes are done, the whole thing's done.
Okay. We'll be back. Hey, if you're like me and you love lobster, the problem is how do you get that really sweet, tender meat out of the lobster legs? Well, Erin, who runs our test kitchen here, has a great idea. She takes a rolling pin, wraps it in plastic wrap so you don't get the taste of the lobster into the wood, takes a leg like this, and she takes off the last little bit so it's open, and she rolls the meat out of the leg like that. There you go. There's the meat, which is nice and tender, very sweet, and here's now the hollow leg. Another great quick tip from America's Test Kitchen.
So it's been about 20 minutes. It smells good, doesn't it?
It's pretty amazing. I have to say, there's also a tremendous amount of liquid in this.
Yeah, it's amazing how much those clams really release, how much juice they have. And that smell that I really love is the smell of the smoky kielbasa that kind of perfumes everything just lightly with smoke. I can't get enough of this recipe. I make it all the time. All right, so here are our lobsters. I'm going to set them aside and let them cool for just a little bit. And there's a little bit of that foam I was talking about that comes out of the lobster when it gets cooked. And there's the reason why you want to leave the skins on the corn, because you can peel that off. That corn is going to be perfectly done. All right, so here's this big bag of clams and mussels. I'm letting the juices drain out of it so it doesn't make too much of a mess when I transfer it. And put it over here, and how I get them out easily is just cut a little hole. Because this is very, very hot.
Smells good.
Yep. Now, the potatoes, remember, they were on top of the clams. When I pulled them off, they fell to the bottom, and they're in with the sausages among all that juice. I'm just going to sprinkle them in amongst the clams.
Does smell good.
These juices left at the bottom here, much like when you eat steamers, are great for dipping. This is pure flavor, and you can see all the liquid that's remained after all that steaming
That's a tremendous amount, yeah.
Yeah, and it's all flavor.
Hey, nothing was added at the beginning.
And that's good dipping sauce. And remember how I said the potatoes are the true test of doneness? And you can just see, we done?
They are. They're firm.
So I'm going to break apart this lobster a little bit. Now that it's cooled a little bit, I can take the arms off. And then take the tail off. Feast. This is a down and dirty kind of hand sort of thing. If you want to use forks, go ahead. Spread newspaper around. I mean, this is a really down-home thing. And then the corn has a lightly perfumed flavor from that smoky kielbasa, and also just taste a little bit of seafood. I'm just going to dip the corn in this melted butter, and it's just melted. It's not drawn. The milk solids are in there because I think they add flavor. And this is obviously not a fussy dinner.
If you really want to humiliate me, besides wearing the shirt, you can bring out the big bib now. That's right.
I think you've done enough already.
I've done enough in that regard.
I don't need to help you today.
Okay, there we are. We have Julia's most excellent indoor clam bake.
Dude.
It starts with kielbasa at the bottom of a nice big, 12-quart stock pot.
That's right.
That sautés over high heat. A big sack of clams and mussels.
You got it.
And over that, you put in some potatoes, which actually tell you whether or not it's done. And then we put some corn and then a couple of lobsters on top after that.
Right.
So
Exactly.
from America's Test Kitchen, a great and really easy 20-minute indoor clam bake.